The early months of 1943 were the darkest in the history of the German Wehrmacht. The catastrophe at Stalingrad had not only cost Hitler an entire field army, but had torn a massive hole in the southern sector of the Eastern Front. Emboldened by their victory on the Volga, the Soviet High Command, the Stavka, sensed an opportunity to end the war in a single sweeping campaign. Two massive Soviet offensives, Operation Star and Operation Gallop, surged westward. The Red Army recaptured Kursk, Belgorod, and on February the 16th, the strategic industrial hub of Kharkov itself. To the observers in Berlin and London alike, it appeared the German front was in a state of terminal collapse, with Soviet tank columns racing towards the Dnieper River. Amidst this chaos, the defense of the southern front was entrusted to Field Marshal Erich von Manstein, arguably Germany's most brilliant operational mind. Manstein realized that the Soviet advance, while impressive, had left their forces dangerously overextended and physically exhausted. His solution was a daring gamble known as the Backhand Blow. Instead of trying to hold every inch of ground, Manstein would allow the Soviet spearheads to drive deep into his lines, only to strike them in the flanks, once they had outrun their supply lines and air cover. On February the 19th, the German counteroffensive was unleashed. The primary hammer of this blow was the newly formed II SS Panzer Corps, commanded by Paul Hauser, composed of three of the most powerful divisions in the German arsenal, the Leibstandarte, das Reich, and Totenkopf. The corps was equipped with the latest Panzer IV and Tiger tanks. Supported by the 4th Panzer Army and the 1st Panzer Army, the Germans struck the overextended Soviet 6th Army and the mobile group Popov. The impact was devastating. In the freezing slush of the Ukrainian spring, Soviet tank units were cut off and annihilated in a series of rapid encircling maneuvers. By early March, the momentum had shifted entirely. Manstein's forces had stabilized the front and were now ready to retake the ground they had lost just weeks prior. The prize was Kharkov, the 4th largest city in the Soviet Union and a vital rail junction. Despite Hitler's initial desire to bypass and encircle the city, the commanders of the SS Panzer Corps, specifically Paul Hauser, were determined to seize the city by direct assault. They believed that only by clearing the city could they secure the rail lines necessary for future operations. What followed was one of the most brutal urban battles of the war. From March 11th to March 15th, the SS divisions fought their way through the ruins of Kharkov. The Soviet defenders, though outnumbered, contested every street, every basement, and every factory floor. The Leibstandarte division led the assault from the north and west, while the Das Reich division pushed in from the south. The fighting was characterized by close quarters combat and the devastating use of flamethrowers and assault guns. By the evening of March 14th, the iconic Red Square, now known as Freedom Square, was in German hands. The following day, the last pockets of resistance were cleared. The recapture of Kharkov, followed quickly by the fall of Belgorod on March the 18th, marked the end of the winter campaign. Manstein had achieved the impossible. He had stabilized a collapsing front and inflicted a major defeat on the Red Army, costing the Soviets over 80,000 casualties. However, the victory created a massive bulge in the lines, the Kursk salient. This salient would become the focus of Hitler's attention in the summer of 1943, leading to the largest tank battle in history. For a brief moment in the spring of 1943, the Wehrmacht had regained the initiative, but the ultimate fate of the war was already being sealed by the industrial might and bottomless reserves of the Soviet Union.
Allowing the Red Army to take ground, extend itself, and then counterattack and surround it. The second, or the forehand method, encompassed a major German offensive by army groups south and center against the protruding Kursk salient. Hitler favored the forehand method, which led to the Battle of Kursk.